Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, look, a lot to talk about today. Jam-packed show. Obviously, Trump now on the verge of a potential deal with Vladimir Putin over the war in Ukraine. Two high-level negotiating teams, one from the U.S., one from Russia, met yesterday in Saudi Arabia. The Dems, the media are going absolutely apoplectic. Zelensky now is threatening to blow up the peace talks. So there's a lot to talk about, believe me. But this is not just a local story. This is a massive national story. And the question I have now for all of you, and not just for Kuhner country, but really for the whole country, for the entire United States of America. When are governors and politicians going to finally be held accountable when they release dangerous criminals into the public who then commit another heinous crime? When are we going to say enough is enough and hold these scumbag politicians and governors accountable? This is now what border czar Tom Homan is directly asking about Massachusetts moonbat governor, and man, is she a crazy moonbat. Moonbat Maura Healey. Maura Healey now is coming under tremendous fire from the Trump administration, from Tom Homan, frankly, from many people in New York City, from people here in Massachusetts. And the growing chorus is, why won't people lock her up? In particular, why won't Homan lock her up? And it now looks like it may come to the breaking point. So here is the absolute latest. A trans migrant, I want to repeat that, okay? An illegal alien in this country, transgender. It's clearly a man, a biological man who identifies as a woman. The person's name is Nicole Suarez, 30 years old, originally from Colombia. This is a massive story up in New York. According to police and according to the victim, was arrested just a couple days ago. Why? Because this individual, wanted in New Jersey, wanted in Massachusetts, and I'm going to get to this very soon, deliberately followed a 14-year-old boy from a park, the Thomas Jefferson Park in East Harlem, and followed that boy into the bathroom of a bodega across the street from this park, and then viciously raped this 14-year-old boy. After being viciously and brutally and sadistically raped, the boy then managed to somehow leave the bathroom, flag down witnesses, who then called the police. A business owner, not the one that owns the bodega, but a deli right beside the bodega, says that school kids play at that park every single afternoon after school. And they will either come to his deli or the bodega to grab snacks, to grab a soda, to grab something to drink or something to eat. He says these are wonderful kids, many of them African-American kids. And when found out that this 14-year-old boy had been brutally, sadistically raped by this trans migrant, was so shaken, was so disgusted, was so revolted that this person literally couldn't stand. They had to sit down, saying that this child's life is never going to be the same again. The parents of the children are never going to be the same again. That this child's life now has been effectively ruined forever, for the rest of their lives. And all because of New York's sanctuary city policy, which refused to notify ICE that this transgender migrant was in New York. ICE could have removed that person ICE didn't. Now this 14-year-old boy has been raped. And my friends, I'm telling you, once that child is raped in that heinous manner, that child is never going to be the same again. But here's the kicker, because many of you are going to ask, Jeff, what the hell does this have to do with Maura Healey? This took place in the sanctuary city of New York. That's where the rape occurred, or the alleged rape, in the bodega, the bathroom of the bodega. Well, this transgender migrant was first here in Medford, Massachusetts. And according now to law enforcement, this Nicole Suarez was arrested here last summer in Medford, Massachusetts. ICE had a detainer on Nicole Suarez. ICE wanted Nicole Suarez. ICE sent the detainer to local law enforcement in Medford. Ignored. They sent the detainer to Maura Healey and said, you've got a dangerous criminal, a child rapist, a sexual predator, illegally in this country from Colombia. We want this person. Don't let this person go. This person was arrested. This person was released without bail. Then this person disappeared. Local law enforcement, state police, Maura Healey, let this animal go. And then what did this animal do? Rather than cooperate with ICE, rather than notify ICE, we've got this person has just been arrested, this person is a sexual criminal, a sexual predator, we're holding that person, ICE come in, take this illegal, and deport his ass out of the United States, back to Colombia. No. Medford let this animal go. Maura Healey let this animal go. And now, in New York, this animal struck again. And this time, his victim was a 14-year-old boy. I don't even want to give you the details of the rape. It was a sadistic, brutal rape. I'm telling you, this poor boy is never going to recover from this. Okay? The psychological, emotional, spiritual, moral trauma that this child has endured, you don't come back from this kind of a vicious rape. Now, as Tom Homan said on X, and I want to repeat it right here, right now, America wants Maura Healey in prison. And no matter what she says, and no matter how she tries to spin it, she needs to be held accountable for her actions. And he is completely right. I'm telling you, there is a certain point where it has to be, we have to say enough is enough. When are we going to hit the breaking point? I have to ask all of you. I don't like to do this at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't like to talk about child rape and abusing children in bathrooms and bodegas. I really don't. But this is the reality now of our country and of our society. And this is what it means to have a sanctuary state. And this is what it means to have a sanctuary city. And for whatever reason, we as a country, as a people, as a nation, seem to accept the fact that politicians can willy-nilly, arbitrarily, just keep releasing dangerous criminals and sexual predators and release them into the public so they can reoffend and either murder people or rape children, and they're never held responsible for their actions? All Maura Healey had to do was give local law enforcement the green light to honor an ICE detainer. Was this transgender migrant in the country illegally? Yes. Had this transgender migrant a criminal record in the United States? There was a previous crime in New Jersey. Yes. Was this migrant arrested in Massachusetts, in Medford? Yes. Was this person wanted for sex crimes? Yes. All you had to do, literally, okay, call. That's it. Press 7 buttons, whatever it is. Okay, 10 buttons. Area code and the phone number. And you call up ICE and say, yeah, we got him. Got your detainer. We've got Nicole Suarez. Come pick this, come pick this loser up. Instead, because of the sanctuary status, because of the sanctuary state that Massachusetts is, because of Medford being a sanctuary city, local police let that person walk back on the streets. Okay, my friends, listen to the new iHeartRadio app with preset buttons. You can set the app to play the Kuhner Report automatically. All right, my friends, I don't normally do it this early, but I want to do it now to set the table for the conversation, because I think it's a conversation now, frankly, we as a country need to have. Again, I want to stress this. This, yes, of course, it's a local story, but this is really a national story. It's a huge story in New York, obviously. That's where the rape occurred. But people are discussing it now everywhere. And I'm hoping this is finally now the breaking point. I'm hoping. So let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. Should politicians, okay, in this case, obviously Maura Healey, but just in general, should politicians who release illegal aliens, who then go on to commit violent crimes, should they go to jail? Should politicians go to prison if they've released illegal aliens who then go on to commit violent crimes? In this case, what we're talking about now, and the reason why it's a national story, obviously, is because Tom Homan, the border czar, said, look, we got a problem with these sanctuary states, these blue states, and these sanctuary cities. And he says, in particular, I'm telling you, it's Kathy Hochul, it's Pritzker, it's Newsom, and it's Maura Healey. And people now are getting killed. And 14-year-old African-American boys are being sodomized and raped. Forgive me to be so explicit about it. Because of their actions. And he says, and Holman is saying, look, I'm telling you, they deserve to go to prison for what they're doing. So, A, yes. B, no. You know my position on this. I'm 1,000% yes. You have an illegal alien who should not be in our country, who in this case was arrested in Medford last year, a known sexual predator, by the way, arrested also in New Jersey. There is an ICE detainer. It is a transgender so-called migrant from Colombia, 30 years old. The rap sheet as long as my arm. ICE says this is illegal, a criminal illegal, a dangerous illegal. Please hold them. We're going to come and get this individual. We're going to deport this person. This person is a threat to public safety in the United States. Medford released the illegal and didn't notify ICE under orders from Maura Healey. This illegal then ends up going to a bodega, obviously leaves Massachusetts, goes to a bodega in New York City, in East Harlem, to be more particular, and looks at these young kids playing across the street. Remember, this person is an animal, a sexual predator. Stalks the kid, apparently followed this 14-year-old boy as this boy after school played at the park, went to the bodega to the bathroom, then they always buy some snacks or whatever, goes to the bathroom, followed the 14-year-old boy into the bathroom, and then committed a heinous, sadistic, brutal rape on that child. They're lucky. They say the child is lucky to be alive. The child crawled back out of the bathroom, begged witnesses to help. They ended up catching the transgender migrant the next day. This transgender migrant is now in custody. The people of New York are freaking livid. They're livid at Eric Adams because New York City is a sanctuary city and ICE could have nailed this person had they just allowed ICE to do their job. They're upset at Kathy Hochul, but they're also really upset at Maura Healey because this individual was arrested last summer here in Medford, Massachusetts. And by the way, as you know, I broadcast the show from Medford. Just out, for those of you listening across the country, literally just outside of Boston. So when I say here in Medford, I mean, I'm talking literally here in Medford. And they let this animal out and refused to cooperate with ICE, refused to honor a detainer. This was done at the express decision by Maura Healey. Holman says she needs to go to prison. I agree with Holman. A, yes. B, no. Should politicians be held accountable? Governors, politicians, for releasing illegal aliens who then go on to commit violent, heinous crimes. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, KUHN is in national ER. Many of you are saying, Jeff, where is this quote from Holman? Okay, here is Holman on X. Governor Healey deserves prison. You can't change America's mind on this. Governor Healey was the one who released the illegal alien who ended up raping a 14-year-old child in New York City. So again, Governor Healey could have prevented this, but instead she facilitated it. Now, I stand with Tom Holman. Okay, should Maura Healey now go to prison? And not just Maura Healey. Should governors of sanctuary states, mayors of sanctuary cities go to jail, be held accountable for releasing murderers and child rapists into the public, even though there are ICE detainers that they are deliberately ignoring, allowing them to be freed, and going on then to continue even more heinous crimes. Tom Holman now said America is demanding Healey go to jail for letting go a transgender migrant that was arrested or who was arrested last summer in Medford, but for inexplicable reasons was let go. Healey ignored the ICE detainer. This was a violent criminal, a sexual predator. This person, Nicole Suarez, then went to New York City and just a couple days ago brutally and sadistically raped a 14-year-old child. Holman now says Healey must pay. These politicians must pay. They are aiding and abetting violent, predatory behavior. I agree with Holman 1,000%. Do you? Jeff in Tennessee. Thanks for holding, Jeff. You're going to kick us off. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Well, thank you, sir. Good morning, sir.
Hi.
I read this story the other day, and I was
early in the morning, but the short answer to your question is yes.
Then the man's not transgender. He used the functioning parts of the body that he had. That was just another man,
Well, he's a man. I mean, Jeff, to be technically accurate about it, he's clearly a man. I mean, he's a biological man. but he wears lipstick, he puts on earrings, he identifies as a woman. But no, this is a sick individual, a mentally ill individual, an evil individual. And, and there are a lot of people like that we're letting into our country. So this was a biological male pretending to be a woman or whatever, identifying as a woman. And this person, and they even have it on camera, followed that boy right into the bathroom of that bodega. This was premeditated, stalked. So, and I'm telling you, this is what they, I'm sure this is what happened here in Medford. I'm sure it's what happened in New Jersey. And this is just where he was arrested. I don't, when you're raping young children, that's something that you've been doing for a long time. So let me tell you right now, it's exactly what Trump said, Jeff. They're not sending us their best. They're sending us their worst. And this is not just Venezuela. It's Colombia. It's many countries in Latin America, in Africa, in Eastern Europe, in Asia. They're sending their worst criminals into our society, into our country. So you're talking about this is a pervert. You're talking about a sick sexual predator, a pervert, who came into our country and was embraced by sanctuary, first in New Jersey, sanctuary state, then Massachusetts, sanctuary state, even though was arrested multiple times for sex crimes. And I said, this person is here illegally. We want him. Here's a detainer. This person is very dangerous to children in particular. And Maura Healey let him go. And now a 14-year-old boy's life has been destroyed. And I think, Jeff, the question in all honesty is, how much are we or the public going to put up with this? When are we going to hold this woman, and not just picking on Healey, when are we going to hold Hochul accountable? When are we going to hold Newsom accountable? When are we going to hold Pritzker accountable? When are we going to start holding all these mayors accountable? Eric Adams, that crook. He's the one that's turned New York City into a sanctuary city. So the local cops keep complaining our hands are tied. We know they're illegally here. We know they're dangerous. We know they're predators. We can't touch them because these mayors and governors keep defending these criminal illegals. And Homan, who's an old-style sheriff, a law and order man, a decent man, a good man, is saying, who's going to give this 14-year-old's life back? I'll tell you right now, if these politicians were brutally raped and sodomized, I think they'd have a different view of this, frankly. Or if their children were raped and sodomized, I think they'd have a different view. Jeff, am I wrong?
No, you are 100% correct, and I agree with everything that you have said. And my point was, he's a man. He's not a transgender. If he's going to use the functioning parts, I don't care the mental illness is the way I look at it. But with that said, I've been waiting to call for the purpose of, is there any way that we, as the MAGA crowd or the Americans in this country that can use the MAGA movement to help, I guess, a drive to primary these people that are opposing Trump's agendas? I would love to pitch in. I would love to pitch in just for a PAC, just for the PACs, for the sole purpose of primarying everybody. And maybe I can finally fire every one of these idiots like I've been trying to do since the 80s, and Ross Perot.
Oh, Jeff, look, there's no question. No, look, we've got the whip hand now, okay, as the expression is. We're in the saddle. We're the majority. We now control the National Republican Party. There's no question. We have the White House. We have the Department of Justice. Once we get Kash Patel, we're going to have the FBI. And I think these open borders, treasonous, and that's what they are. They're treasonous. Governors and mayors now need to be held accountable. And I think, Jeff, the biggest thing we can do is shame them, is expose them, unmask them, and shame them. Maura Healey needs to be shamed. And we as citizens need to demand that she be put in jail. And I think now is the time, really, for Tom Homan to earn his, his spurs. And I think, don't just talk about it on X. Look, I love the guy. Don't think I'm criticizing him. Far from it. I love Tom Homan. I really do. In a non-sexual way, I love Tom Homan. Okay, I really do. But now it's time for you to send in your guys and say, you know what? I'm making an example out of you. No, you let this animal out. You didn't respect an ICE detainer. You're aiding and abetting, clearly, the rape of this child. This child has rights. This child's an American. This child should be allowed to go to the bathroom of a bodega and not get raped by someone who shouldn't be in our country. And you let them in, and you embraced them, and then you let them out. And you knew about this person because we sent you the effing detainer. And you still did nothing. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Bang, slap on the handcuffs. And it'll only take one or two. Make an example out of them. And you watch, they're going to do a full 180. Jeff, oh man, they're going to turn on a dime. So, again, maybe this is not Homan's authority to do it. Maybe he needs Kash Patel, the FBI director. By the way, Kash Patel made it through the confirmation vote yesterday, the committee. So it's going to go to a full Senate floor soon. That's why I keep saying we need Kash Patel now. Because Kash Patel has said, and I believe him, he's not afraid to slap on the handcuffs and put these sanctuary governors and these sanctuary mayors behind bars in prison. So I'm, hush now. Well, I want Kash Patel. 1-877-CASH now. Because Kash Patel's not afraid to put Maura Healey's ass in jail. Jeff, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. Good morning, Jeff.
Larry, how are you, my friend?
Normally I try to start off with something funny, but I'm not in a laughing mood. So, Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, one of the many different rules is you make the other side live by their own rules. For the last, 8-10 years, we've been hearing them scream, nobody's above the law. You're right. It's time to make a sweeping example out of it.
Larry, I'm up against a break. 617-266-6868 is the number. You remember that chant when Trump was running against Hillary Clinton? Lock her up, lock her up. Yeah, forget Hillary. Well, I mean, I'd love to see her get locked up. Don't get me wrong. But let's, lock her up now should be for Maura Healey. Let's not lock Hillary up. Let's lock Healey up. And because in many ways, her crimes are even worse than Hillary's. Bad as Hillary's were. But there's more to come. I got information for you. Just hang on. Trust me when I tell you this. This is the tip of the iceberg. It's all coming out now on Maura Healey. So I've got some more information. Hillary is horrible. Healey is maybe just as bad or maybe even slightly worse. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Larry in Leominster. Larry, I thought you made a really good point. These politicians, governors need to be held accountable. No one is above the law. This is, the mantra they've been saying for 8-10 years now. Well, why is Healey above the law? She's not above the law. You aid and abet a child rapist, as she did. If you did it, if I did it, if anyone in this audience did it, we'd be in jail. We'd be behind bars. So why not apply the same standard to Healey? So what I want to ask you, Larry, and this is really the $64,000 question. Liberals say that if you slap the handcuffs on Maura Healey, that is the act of a dictatorship, that they will resist, and that you will see violence on the streets. They are determined to protect and defend Healy at all costs. And it's not just Healy, it's Eric Adams, it's Kathy Hochul, it's Pritzker, it's Brandon Johnson, that crazy mayor in Chicago, it's Gavin Newsom. So whenever you mention holding these out of control, rogue, sanctuary state governors accountable for their actions, they say they will defend them to the death. Are we risking violence, political violence, and social chaos if, say, Kash Patel, once he's confirmed fully on the Senate floor, sends in FBI agents and puts the handcuffs on Healy, or Tom Homan says, enough, I'm going to have ICE come in and put the handcuffs on Healy? Is it too much of a risk for social peace and social stability? What say you, Larry?
Well, Jeff, you got to scramble some eggs to make an omelet. Now, let's review. You've got Healy doing her thing. It just come out that AOC was hosting webinars on how to evade ICE. Right? Now, I'm not giving Eric Adams a pass in any way, since just to get that out there. Not giving him a pass. He needs to atone for what he did himself. What happened as soon as he agreed with Homan to start helping ICE? They're now trying to oust him as mayor. They're playing hardball. We have to play hardball. And it is twofold. You do have the criminality and justice. No one's above the law. That's the mantra that we've been hearing for 10 years, like I said. So these people need to be tried, convicted, what have you. But also, I'm coming back around to it. You've got Doge going through the Treasury, the IRS, and all this stuff. Trump is genius. He's exposing the corruption, but he's also forcing the left to defend the bloat. This applies in the same aspect. Start arresting these people. Start charging these people. Force the liberals for the midterms and moving forward to defend the criminality that they're committing. Because that's all they can do. You're saying they're threatening to hit the streets. Let them. This is a whole different ballgame now. There is no playing around. If they hit the streets, Homan and all them, and Pam Bondi, and like you said, Kash Patel, they're not going to pea foot around. I'm trying not to use a harsh word. I don't know if it's allowed or not on this segment. There's no, being light about it.
Yeah, let's not beat around the bush, right? Let's not beat it.
Yeah. I'm trying to wake up. So,
no, I understand. No, let's not beat around the bush. No, Larry, look, I agree with you. I think I think you've absolutely nailed it. I think, look, they're playing hardball. We got to start playing hardball. And this is, Larry, I'm being very serious. This is what I can't wrap my mind around. We're now talking about dead children. We're talking about children who are being raped in the most heinous, vile, sadistic way possible. Where is the Boston Globe? Where is Channel 4? Where is Channel 5? Where's Channel 7? Where's Channel 10? Where's Channel 25? Where's most of the so-called media in this state? They're nowhere. Where are the Democrats? Where is the mass GOP? What is it about this state in particular, this conspiracy of silence, when it comes not just to the illegal immigration issue and to the migrant shelter system, and I'm going to get to that soon because this is unbelievable now, what is now coming out about Maura Healey and what she's allowing to take place all across this entire state. But I'm talking about now child rape. And it seems when it comes to the sexual abuse of children in particular, there is a conspiracy. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to expose it. Nobody wants to put people in jail. Nobody wants to unmask it. Nobody wants to put people behind bars. And so my question is this, Larry, I've said this ever since I've come to this state. I don't know what it is about this state and children, whether it's the Catholic Church, whether it's DCF, whether it's the Democratic Party, whether it's the Republican establishment, whether it's the media. But we have a sex abuse problem when it comes to children, especially sex predators, pedophiles. And that's essentially what this trans migrant is. This trans migrant is a pedophile. This idiot can put on a wig and lipstick. I don't care. This kid, this man, this pervert, okay, this evil scumbag is a pedophile, is a child rapist and a child molester, is a repeat pedophile. And nothing. Medford let him go. Healy let him go. And they wouldn't even honor an ICE detainer, knowing full well he was going to molest and rape another child. And it was done cavalierly. Like, who cares? Now, look, my son is 14. Literally, that's his age now. That could have been my boy. That could have been anyone's boy. And yet people look, I'm telling you, in the rest of the country, I'm not, maybe New York City and Chicago and LA and those crazy moonbat areas. But in most of the country, you start diddling kids. You start turning a blind eye to murder and child rape and child sexual abuse. I'm telling you, the citizenry is on the warpath. Your career is finished. Here, see nothing, say nothing, hear nothing. Why? What is wrong with Massachusetts? Do you have a theory on that, Larry?
Honestly, I'm just as befuddled as you are. Because think about what we hear. What did we hear during the lockdowns, right? They kept kids home from school. It's to protect the children. It's always for the children with the left. Is it? Is it really? Because they say that, but their actions are the complete opposite. They're always putting children in danger. And you're right, it is baffling. From the Catholic Church to DCF to now it's come out, the huge scandal with the Boy Scouts, and it's just one thing after another. And you're right, they keep turning a blind eye. And, that whole expression, how evil thrives is for good men to do nothing. The people who are just turning their heads and looking the other way are just as guilty as Maura Healey for the actions.
I agree.
They're letting this fester.
Oh, I agree. I really agree. I completely agree. Larry, as always, thank you very much for that call. John in Lowell. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, John.
Jeff, Eugene Carroll. The family has to sue her civilly. That's going to give her two fronts to fight on. It's going to drag her into court. It'll become more public. And it's going to hit them where they hurt the most, Jeff. Whack them in the wallet, too.
Oh, interesting. So what you're saying is don't just slap the handcuffs on Maura Healey. Pull an Eugene Carroll and sue the pants.
Listen, there is no help for these people, okay? I will talk to my cousin. She'll call Trump a fascist. Give me one example. And it's on social media, okay? She can't. Then five other little friends will pipe in. And they say, okay, all five of you put your pea brains together and come up with one. Jeff, they can't do it. I list off Biden with Zuckerberg and, manipulating the media with the government, Google, name it. Jeff, they can't do it. It's truly a mental disorder. These people are missing something in their brain. Or they have no soul, Jeff.
Well, they have no soul. I mean, look, John, I think you're tapping into something people don't want to talk about. And look, John, you are a truth teller. That's what I so admire, among other things. I've got to ask you, I've asked a question of Larry. I want to ask it of you. What is wrong with Massachusetts in particular? I know it's some other blue states as well. I get it. It's not just only Massachusetts. This child was raped. Maura Healey let it happen. DCF, as you know, is dirty when it comes to molesting or turning the blind eye to the molestation and rape of children. The Catholic Church in this state in particular, horrible. The media completely has turned a blind eye. Why are the people, the liberals in Massachusetts, why do they not care about pedophiles and those who aid and abet sexual predators of children? What's your theory, John?
Jeff, that's a really high. Listen, here's the problem. We can't possibly think like them. We can't possibly get in their heads, Jeff. My wife used to look at me and say, "Don't you understand?" And I'd be like, "Diana, I'm not being rude, but you're a girl. I'm a guy. I can't possibly truly understand what goes on in your head. I'm a different animal." Jeff, to me, really? Jeff, I just think the state's possessed and overtaken. It has to be of the devil.
John, as always, thank you, because you say things people think, but they're afraid to say. Thank you very much for that call, John. Keith in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Keith, and welcome.
I've loved you in the morning. I've loved you in the afternoon. I've even loved you at night in a non-sexual way.
Keith, what do you make of all this, Keith? Is it time to slap the handcuffs on Maura Healey? And I love John's suggestion as well, and sue her civilly. Sue the pantsuits off of her, as John says. In other words, start putting them behind bars and start fining them or suing them for hundreds of millions of dollars. What say you, Keith?
I doubt if they can get to her personally for sovereign immunity purposes. There's a case in Ware where the city of Ware paid millions and millions of dollars because the cops let a drunk driver loose and he killed somebody, and they made a lawyer in Springfield enormously rich. So there's going to be a civil suit, and that family in New York, it's no compensation, but they're going to make tens of millions of dollars easily off the city of Boston and the state of Massachusetts. I'm not sure they can get to anybody criminally. They should be able to, just like the death penalty. When you don't put anybody to death, you don't have a death penalty. They got to start dragging these politicians and these.
You know, Keith, as you're talking, I'm just thinking, how does someone like Holdit Healey, okay, Moonbat Maura, how does someone like her sleep at night? No, really. How do you look at yourself in the mirror? Just to take this particular, I mean, there's so many cases, but let's just stick to this case. I mean, just stand back, really, objectively, everybody. You have a sexual predator, a pedophile, in your jurisdiction, an illegal, you allowed in. The illegal gets arrested, was arrested in another state, is arrested now in your state. Not only do you let this sexual predator go, but then after you let the sexual predator go, and there's a nice detainer saying, we want this pedophile. Okay, we want this child rapist. This is a sick pervert we have here. And you're like, no, we don't cooperate with ICE. We're a sanctuary state. Get lost. And then goes on to brutally, violently, viciously rape a 14-year-old boy. And what? You just go to bed like nothing happened? Well, really, you get up in the morning and you have your cup of coffee and your grapefruit or whatever she eats, and And, you look over the Boston Globe and you're like, oh, we're so woke. Oh, we're resisting Trump. Yeah. I think I can get a cabinet position if we can win back the White House in 2028. No, really. How do you sleep with yourself at night? And to all the liberals out there, I mean, I know I'm wasting my breath, but how do you defend a monster like this? How do you defend something? How do you defend a woman like this, a politician like this, and a system like this? Dave in Medford. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Jeff, first of all, I just got a question for you. Did you receive a package?
I did, Dave. Was that from you?
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dave. I haven't opened it. I just literally got the package. Mike gave it to me this morning. So thank you very much, Dave. I really appreciate it.
Jeff, I'll put it this way. You're going to enjoy the whole thing.
Okay.
You got to have you got a whole month of movie night. Put it that way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you, my buddy. Dave, is it time to start putting these governors and politicians behind bars?
Jeff, I'm sick and tired of it. And it's just too bad we didn't have Jeff Deal, because none of this would be going on today.
Oh, man. Oh, just to mention his name compared to Maura Healey. And they sunk Jeff Deal, and they sunk him good. They stabbed him in the back repeatedly. So they're in many ways responsible for Healey. They'd rather have Healey than a conservative Trump Republican in the governor's office. 617-266-6868. Okay, national outrage now grows over the brutal rape of a 14-year-old child in New York City, in East Harlem, to be exact, who was raped by a trans migrant, a man, a biological man, identifying as a quote-unquote woman, stalked this boy, followed this boy into the bathroom of a bodega, and then committed an absolutely vicious, heinous, unspeakable rape. I don't even want to give you the details. It was that bad. This migrant has now been arrested. However, Tom Homan, the border czar, is furious. I'm telling you, Donald Trump, I'm almost positive, is going to tweet about this or whatever on Truth Social. He's going to post about it. It is a huge story in New York. It is a huge story nationally. They're trying to suppress this story here in Massachusetts. I'm not going to allow it to happen. This rapist, alleged rapist, this trans migrant, Nicole Suarez, 30 years old from Colombia, was arrested last year here in Medford, Massachusetts. And the authorities knew this was a sexual predator. This predator had been arrested before in New Jersey, had a long rap sheet, illegally in our country. They let the authorities, local law enforcement, let this sexual predator and pedophile out under orders from Maura Healey. There was an ICE detainer. The ICE wanted this person to deport this person. Maura Healey gave the order to not notify ICE. This person was then released, went down to New York City, and raped that 14-year-old boy. Tom Homan and many now in the Trump administration are openly saying Maura Healey needs to go to prison. She needs to be held accountable for aiding and abetting the rape of a 14-year-old child. I agree. Do you? 617-266-6868. Roman in Boston. Thanks for holding, Roman, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Roman.
Okay. It's funny that Doge uncovered a whole bunch of money that facilitated sex change operations for illegal aliens. You remember that?
Yes.
That was fantastic. And I'm being sarcastic, by the way. You know what, Jeff? Maura Healey, Michelle Wu, Andrea Campbell, Marion Ryan, they all are culpable in this, all of them, and starting from the top. This is not just one person. This is a cycle of people. And if Maura Healey did give the order to, it would probably filter to the mayor of Medford, and he would have filtered it to the police chief. And the chief, if that trans got arrested, he would have either gotten bail or went to court. Now, if he got bail, he skipped it. And if he went to court, the courts let him out. However, no one from Medford PD bothered to call and say this guy has an ICE detainer, which the court would have known anyway. So it's a vicious cycle. Do you see how it works? They're all in synchronicity with each other. Tom Homan, the difference between sheriffs and police chiefs is a sheriff is elected by the people. He does the people's will. Police chief, everyone I've known, is a political hack. They do what the mayor wants, whenever the mayor wants, and how the mayor wants it, or the governor, or whatever person is pulling that police chief string. It's happening in Dallas, it's happening in New York, it's happening in Boston, it's happening everywhere. We have normalized in this country pedophilia, and it's not overnight. It was a slow boil, and now it's normal, Jeff. How pedophilia is normalized with all of the debauchery and sin and everything that's going on in our society as a country. What the heck happened? I'm trying not to swear to the United States of America. Maura Healey, like I said, they're all culpable, and every delegate congressional delegate from Massachusetts voted against the Laken Riley Act. Seth Moulton, all of you, how dare you? You all should hang your head in shame. This is an absolutely ridiculous state that we're in, and I mean state as of being a ridiculous state.
Well, no, Roman, look, you're clicking on all cylinders. I mean, really, you check. Every single point you're making is dead on. And, take that clown, Seth Moulton, and he really is I'm sorry, but he's moron Moulton. That's what he really is. I don't know if you heard his latest outrage. It's a little off topic, but he's agreeing with Margaret Brennan on CBS. He's agreeing with all these censorship laws that they have in Europe. And now he came out saying, yeah, free speech caused the Holocaust. The guy's an idiot. Really, the guy's an idiot. And I can't and by the way, they're all tough when they go on WGBH or they go on, some local affiliate here or whatever. Then they all got big mouths. I can't tell you how many times I've asked Moulton, come on my show. Defend your insanity in front of me. Try it. Try it for 1 second to try to claim that free speech caused the Holocaust. I will intellectually destroy you in 30 seconds, and he knows it. So, no, look, Roman, you put your finger right on it. We are normalizing, we are trying to rationalize and excuse pedophilia. Okay, let me ask all of you. It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, again, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Should politicians, in this case, I'm singling out Maura Healey, but just in general, should politicians go to prison if they release illegal aliens who then go on to commit violent crimes? As we just been talking about all morning, it's this big story, obviously, in New York and across the country. An illegal from Colombia, a transgender so-called migrant, was arrested in Medford last summer here in Massachusetts, was inexplicably released. ICE had a detainer. It didn't matter. Maura Healey gave the order to not honor the detainer. This person was let go. Nicole Suarez eventually went down to New York City and was arrested just a couple days ago for the brutal rape of a 14-year-old boy in the bathroom of a bodega. Tom Homan and many in the Trump administration say it's time to put Healey in prison for aiding and abetting the rape of that child. I agree. Do you? Should politicians go to jail? if they release illegal aliens who then go on to commit violent, heinous crimes. A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, at the Kuhner Report. All one word, Kuhn as in National ER. Lines are jammed. Dave on the Cape. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you today?
Good, good, good. How are you, Dave?
Not too bad. Just a thought. Yes, I think she should go to jail, but if you applied the same logic to which the liberals do to gun manufacturers, instead of towards when someone is killed with a gun, they blame the gun manufacturer, they sue them to the high hill, try to put the manufacturer in jail. How about apply that to liberal politicians when an innocent victim of a crime like this gets killed? Is that crazy, or is that...
No, I love it. And John and Lowell kind of touched on it. I think you're just kind of fleshing it out a little bit more and, pushing it a little bit further. But basically, launch a civil lawsuit. A massive civil lawsuit. As he said, E. Jean Carroll, 200 million, 300 million, 400 million. Bankrupt them. Literally, bankrupt them. And say, you're going to be held responsible now. If you're not going to be held responsible criminally, at the bare minimum, civilly. And look, I'm sorry, Dave. These are the facts. Okay. I don't want to beat a dead horse. There's a child rapist. There's a pedophile who's in this country illegally. They come to this state because it's a sanctuary state. They are arrested for a sex crime here in Medford, after having committed on one in New Jersey. Long rap sheet. Ooh, here's an ICE detainer, Dave. Oh, this person, Nicole Suarez. Oh my God, illegal. Shouldn't even be in this country. ICE wants to deport his ass. The governor says, no, release him. Release him, because he's transgender. So just release him. So they release him, and then he goes on, whether to murder someone or in this case, to violently rape a 14-year-old boy. How is the governor not responsible? Yes, Nicole Suarez is ultimately the one who raped that child. Yes. But I'm sorry, Dave, if you harbored her, if you harbored him, I harbored him, and they went on to commit a vicious rape or a murder, Dave, the cops would be beating down your door. They'd say you're an accessory. They'd say, I'd be an accessory, you'd be an accessory. So why is she not an accessory? And if you won't put her behind bars, how the hell do you not sue the pants off of her? Dave, tell me, am I missing something here?
I brought it up. I mean, at the very least, she should be sued to the high hilt, and that should be the end of her. And any other politician who is in whatever other state, and that should be the end of it. And as far as Mr. or Ms. Suarez, whatever she calls herself today, I tell you this much: you give her the needle, it's a guarantee that they'll never harm another child again.
Oh, I'm with you. I am so with you. The death penalty. This thing screams for the death penalty. And not this, 20 years, they appeal and they appeal and they appeal and they appeal. And, they're 90 years old before they even, if they ever get executed. No. Swift and fast. Justice must be done, and it must be done quickly and swiftly and decisively. And by the way, these child rapists, these pedophiles, their recidivism rate, 100%. This liberal bullcrap, we can rehabilitate them. No, you can't. You can't rehabilitate them. Their recidivism rate, the repeat offender rate, 100%. So either the death penalty or castration. Take your pick. Take your pick. Because no one has the right to to allow an animal like that back into society so they can go and rape and destroy the life of another child. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Stuart in Boston. Thanks for holding, Stuart, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Stuart.
I don't like what Healy's done. I totally agree from a moral point of view, but legally, I think you're wrong, and I'll tell you why. Do you remember Sherman Griffiths? He was a police officer. He was a police officer who was shot executing a search warrant in Dorchester. He was going up the back stairs, and some drug dealer in an apartment shot through the door and killed Sherman Griffiths. They sued the landlord and said the landlord's responsible, and there was some maybe $5 million judgment against the landlord. But the Supreme Court said, just because you have a drug dealer in your house doesn't equate. It's not foreseeable that that drug dealer is then going to take a gun and shoot a police officer. The same thing here. We have, unfortunately, 20 million illegal immigrants. Okay? They're illegal and they shouldn't be here. But if I release a particular illegal immigrant, is it foreseeable that he would go out and rape a child? Because the odds against it are smaller. I don't think that our courts would justify it. Now, again, morally, I think she's morally responsible, but I don't think she's legally responsible, Jeff.
Well, Stuart, look, you're right. If you have a drug dealer, say, in your apartment and you're not aware of the drugs being, that there's drugs being trafficked in the apartment, I understand the argument. But this is a person with a criminal rap sheet. This is a person who is a known sexual predator. That's, and was arrested multiple times in this country and was also arrested in Colombia for sex crimes. So you're taking now a pedophile, a known pedophile, who's been arrested both in their home country and here, and ICE has a detainer explicitly saying, A, this person needs to be handed over, B, they're a violent criminal felon, C, they're a sexual predator, and you let them out on the streets? Stuart, that's very different than somebody dealing drugs out of an apartment that you happen to be the owner of. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, but I'm telling you, even in that case, the landlord knew that that was a drug dealer up there, knew that he could be a violent drug dealer, but to go the next step, it has to be foreseeable. If I let this particular individual out, is he going to do it again? And what she's done is morally wrong. No question about it. She should be not elected again. If people are foolish enough to elect her, we're getting what we deserve, unfortunately, by electing people like this. But the question is, on a criminal basis, is it criminally culpable? And then on a civil basis, is it civilly culpable? And I think that the law is against that kind of responsibility, because you just can't reach that conclusion that somebody did a crime once, they're going to do it again, because so many people that commit crimes eventually stop. They go to jail, they get punished.
Okay, I'm going to take a few more calls, and then you're not going to believe. You are not going to believe what is happening in the migrant shelter system in Massachusetts. And if this is an example of what's happening, not just here, but around the country, Maura Healey and these blue state governors and sanctuary state governors are in even bigger trouble. Trust me when I tell you this, you're going to want to hear it. But first, Maria in Ludlow. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Maria.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Maria?
I'm doing well, thank you. I wanted to say I'm sorry about your dad. It's been a long time since I've spoken to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you. Thank you.
But I wanted to say that Maura Healey and all the other schmuckarellos that are hiding and abating these illegal aliens should all be arrested. Because if somebody is an accomplice to a murder, they go to jail because they're an accomplice, or they're hiding a murderer, or they're should not be doing that. So same thing should go for them. Just because they're into politics, it does not matter. It does not matter. When you decide to play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. That's what I tell my drunkety drunk patients. You play stupid games, your reward is a stupid prize. There is a consequence to everything you do. So yes, she and all the other ones that are okay with it, that are keeping these illegals around, taking from the American children's mouth and the Americans that are paying taxes in this country to take care of these buffoons, they should all be in trouble with the law. They should all face the consequences to their doing. I am so sick and tired of them. I am so sick of them crying now because Elon Musk is jail. You all deserve to be put in jail. When it's good for everybody, it's good for you. It is. You're not above the law. Nobody is above the law. Isn't that what they say? Trump is not above the law. Well, you all are not above the law. Suck it up, buttercup. It's time to start paying up.
Well, Maria, look, this is, I think, the checkmate argument that you just made, which is, I understand where Stewart is coming from in Boston, but they're in open defiance of the law to begin with. Maura Healey said we're a sanctuary state. We're not going to abide by federal immigration law. So illegals are welcome. Illegals, that means they're in this country illegally. They're criminals. You are allowed to come to Massachusetts. And not only are you allowed to come to Massachusetts, we are going to give you free housing, i.e. taxpayer funded. So we're going to pay for your shelter, for your hotel, for your food, for your health care, for your education, for your computers, for your laptops, for your iPads. So she welcomed this Nicole Suarez, this child rapist. And then she was told that she was arrested in Medford, or he was arrested in Medford, and on sex crimes, after having committed sex crimes in New Jersey, after having been convicted of sex crimes in his home country of Colombia. So you're dealing with a known criminal, a violent criminal, a pedophile, a sexual predator. Now, ICE sends you a detainer saying, we want this person to be deported. They're here illegally. And B, they're dangerous. Dangerous to children, dangerous to women, but especially to children. We're talking about a rapist and a pedophile. She says, let him go. She says to ICE, blank off. This is a sanctuary state. We're not going to abide by immigration law. We're not going to abide by ICE detainers. Let this person go. Now, to me, that's like driving drunk. I'm sorry. That's like a police officer pulling someone by the road and doing a breathalyzer and saying, this guy's drunk like a skunk. This guy is under the influence. He's drunk. I'm going to put him back in the car. Have a nice day. And then this person goes on to murder or kill somebody, or in this case, rape a 14-year-old child. Look, Holman says arrest her. Trump's people say arrest her. Arrest her. Let's say it's overturned by the courts. Even if it's I don't think it will, but even if it's overturned by the courts, it'll set an example. As you put it, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You want to break the law? Fine, break the law. You want to release dangerous people into the public? You want to release pedophiles and child molesters and child rapists? Now you're going to pay the price. Look, we've got to start to fight back. Because I'm telling you, one of these days, this is not fear-mongering, this is a fact. It's going to be your child, or my child, or your niece or nephew, or my niece or my nephew, or someone's grandchild. Eventually, it's going to affect us. Now, why should we allow politicians to have the right to destroy our lives? She, as you put it, she's not above the law. Now, if she's going to flout the law and break the law, arrest her ass. Maria, final word to you.
I 1000% agree with you. Every single state that has the sanctuary thing should be abolished. You want to pay for these? Whomever voted Democrat should pay for it. No single Republican should pay for it. Maura Healey wants this. She should take them in. She should pay for them. She should pay for the education. For 2 years now, Jeff, 2 years, I've been waiting for an ALS tablet for my non-speaking child, okay? I've been fighting back and forth with the insurance and the state for my son to have a tablet. I just got it after 2 years. And these people come in and get everything free-handed? Absolutely not. Sanctuary cities should be abolished. They do not need to be around. It is crucial for them to all disappear because they're taking away from the ascent of people, the kids, that essential needs these things. These governors should pay for their crimes. They are doing crimes against humanity, against American children, American citizens. They don't care. They don't care.
Maria, thank you very much for that call. Bob in Plymouth, thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Bob.
I have 2 points. Number one, should she go to prison? Senator Menendez in New Jersey was convicted of some kind of financial fraud. He got 12 years in prison. What she's doing is much worse than what he did. And number two, my other point, let's say Healy gets thrown out of office and Lieutenant Kim Driscoll.
Yeah,
Driscoll. Is she any better? Does anybody know her philosophies?
Oh, no, she agrees with Maura Healey on this 1,000%.
So what good is it going to do to get rid of Healy if this one's just as bad? If it's possible that she's just as bad.
Yeah, no, Bob, I think the point is that this would be like a deterrence. In other words, it would act as a deterrent. She goes to jail, then the next governor, whoever it may be, let's say it is Kim Driscoll, will say, you know what, we can't be a sanctuary state. The next time there's an ICE detainer, we're going to honor that ICE detainer. In other words, it's going to send a chilling message. Sanctuary cities are over. Sanctuary states are over. Coddling violent, illegal alien criminals and rapists, it's over. And if you do it, you're going to go to jail or you're going to have a massive civil lawsuit. So I think, Bob, it's not so much you get rid of Healy, Driscoll is better. I think it's you get rid of Healy and maybe the madness will stop because then the Pritzkers, the Newsoms, the Eric Adams, the Kathy Hochul's, the guy, that clown in Chicago, the Brandon Johnsons, all of these sanctuary city mayors and sanctuary state governors are going to realize there are consequences to what I do, and I'm going to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. To me, that's why Homan is saying she's got to go to prison. In other words, someone's got to be made an example of. Bob, what I don't get is the moment you declare apparently, I'm just going by what I read in the media, okay? They say there are over 200 sanctuary cities in America. Over 200. 200. And, what is it? Over 20 sanctuary states. All these Democrat states are pretty much sanctuary states. The moment they declare themselves a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state, boom, the federal funding should be turned off. Like, I don't understand the constant, we're going to threaten it, keep doing it, we're going to eventually pull the funding. No, don't threaten. Don't cry wolf. You're a sanctuary state? Bang, no federal funding. You're a sanctuary city? Bang, no federal funding. Cut off the federal spigot right away. Right away. And then say you've got a week. And if you continue, not only are you going to have no money for schools and roads and hospitals and police and fire department and basic social services, I'm sending Tom Homan and his people, or Kash Patel when he's going to be confirmed, and we're going to come in and we're going to arrest you. We're going to start slapping the handcuffs. That's it. You're an open violation of federal immigration law. You cannot create a sanctuary jurisdiction that is illegal, unconstitutional, and criminal. Period. You know, I can't declare my home a sanctuary. Like, I can't say, you know, Bob, I can't say, well, I'm going to do cocaine in my house because, hey, it's a sanctuary. I don't abide by the country's federal drug laws or the state drug laws. You know, I don't say, well, I'm going to murder somebody in my house. Hey, I'm a sanctuary from the laws of this country. No, you can't just declare yourself a quote. I've never heard of this before. A sanctuary. So if you're going to violate the law, you're going to flout the law, you're going to break the law, to me, you get arrested. Bob, am I wrong? Am I missing something?
No, you're 1,000% right. But I'm waiting for somebody to actually do this. What are we waiting for?
Trump's people are listening. Look, I'm just going by Tom Homan. He went on X. He said America wants her in prison. She deserves to be in prison. Tom, I agree with you. Go get her. Really, go get her. Bob, thank you very much for that call. 617, you know, we used to say it about Hillary. Now I want to say it about Maura Healey. Lock her up. Lock her up. That should be our chant from now on, really. We should accost her wherever she goes and just shout it out. Lock her up. Lock her up. The way we used to with Hillary. Oh, it'll drive the moonbats in this state insane. Okay, now, speaking of moonbats and insanity, you got to hear this. Again, it goes back to Maura Healey. Now, and this is not just a Massachusetts issue. This is what's happening again in California, in Illinois, in New York State, in New Jersey, in Connecticut, in sanctuary state, Rhode Island, in sanctuary states all across the country. I want to give a big hat tip to John Featherston. Featherston is the one that really is the whistleblower who broke this thing wide open. So listen now to this. John Featherston was the former migrant shelter director between 2023 and 2024 at the Holiday Inn in Marlborough. That, by the way, that Holiday Inn is a migrant shelter. We pay for every one of those illegals who are being housed at the Holiday Inn in Marlborough. Well, listen now to this. Featherston has now revealed, we had him on the show, if you remember, that there was a Haitian illegal, a so-called migrant, who repeatedly raped his 13-year-old daughter. And not only did this guy rape his 13-year-old daughter, he then got her pregnant. He impregnated his own daughter. This was all done at the migrant shelter at the Holiday Inn in Marlborough. Now, according to John Featherston, in an interview that he gave to Fox News, he says that he confronted this Haitian father, this rapist. And according to this father, by the way, and then he was assaulted. This Haitian father was so enraged that Featherston called the police, that Featherston called law enforcement, that Featherston wanted this guy arrested. And so he began to attack Featherston, yell at him, swear at him, throw punches at him. He basically tried to assault him. But what shocked Featherston the most, and I just want you to, I want to get a direct quote. He said it wasn't even so much that he was lunging at me, swinging at me, trying to assault me. It was the conversation he had with this Haitian migrant that he says jarred him the most. Quote, the conversation was probably the most jarring conversation I've ever had in my life. This is what John Featherston said to Fox. His justification, this Haitian migrant, for having sex with his 13-year-old daughter was, and he did say it through an interpreter, he didn't say it in English, that in his country, which his country of origin was Haiti, is that if a woman bled, meaning if she had her period, you could have sex with her, and that was his justification for having sex with his daughter. Those are the kinds of sickos, perverts, that we are allowing into our country, and that Maura Healey allowed into Massachusetts, and in particular into the Holiday Inn in Marlborough that we're paying for. Now, it gets even worse. Featherston then blows the whistle. He calls the police and says, this guy has repeatedly raped his daughter, and now he's gotten her pregnant. And he's claiming, well, in Haiti, which is, by the way, BS, it's a lie, okay? No, they don't allow you to have sex with your daughter if she has her period. Okay, this is one sicko. This is one sick pervert. Calls the police. Now, to Featherston's shock and horror, he's like, well, you're going to arrest him, right? The guy he's been raping his daughter. He just got her pregnant. No. The police direct him to order this Haitian migrant a lift ride to another migrant shelter in Worcester County. They just wanted to shuffle this guy off and sweep it under the rug. Featherston then says they only arrested him 8 months later. You know why? Because Featherston then made the story go public. He blew the whistle. Now, Healey knew about this. How do we know that Healey knew about this? Because according to Featherston, he told her, and he told Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, and he told Attorney General Andrea Campbell. So, the governor was told there's a rapist who's raping and impregnating his own daughter. The lieutenant governor, there's a rapist raping and impregnating his own daughter. The attorney general, same thing. Nothing happened. In fact, they didn't even want to hear about it. Don't bother me with this. Now, Featherston says that, in fact, I'll even give you the quote. This is what Featherston said, told the Fox News. Quote, the Marlborough police came and calmed the Haitian migrant down because the Haitian migrant's furious. Why did you call the police? He doesn't want to have the police. He wants to stay on our dime. You know, free food, free hotel, free cash, free everything. So the Marlborough police came and they calmed him down and actually had me transfer him to another shelter. I asked the Marlborough police, why isn't he being arrested? He admitted to this. At least, why aren't you just detaining him at the very least? And they're like, we'll figure it all out. It took them 8 months to figure it all out. Now, what makes this case particularly egregious, okay? It's not just that the governor knew, Healey knew and covered it up, and that Driscoll knew and covered it up, and Andrea Campbell knew and covered it up, and the Marlborough police knew and covered it up. According to Featherston, quote, I'm just going to go straight from his, what he told Fox. Quote, there is a lot of undocumented violence that goes on in these migrant shelters, in these hotels and motels. Rape, domestic violence, sex trafficking, drug dealing. He says the crimes are so commonplace in the Massachusetts shelter system that many incidents simply fall through the cracks. As he puts it, it happens a lot. He says the police know about it and do nothing because they're under orders to do nothing. And as Featherston added, it's a big, colossal mess. And this is a systematic problem. And then he said before quitting his job, he brought his concerns and explicitly told Healy and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll that there was systemic, widespread abuse. They vowed to reform the shelter system. My friends, they haven't done a single effing reform. I'm sorry, I don't mean to swear, but this is how outrageous this is. $3.5 billion that we have spent housing these so-called migrants. And you know what they just did under Healy? The Democrats on Beacon Hill passed another $425 million. You now have a whistleblower who's now spilling the beans on Maura Healey, which is that the whole migrant shelter system across Massachusetts, and I'm telling you, it's not just Massachusetts, I guarantee you, because I've heard similar horror stories about New York, about Illinois, about California, about Oregon, about Washington State, about Rhode Island. I could go on and on. So I'm telling you, we may be ground zero. We may be one of the worst states, but we're not the only ones, believe me. And you've got a whistleblower now saying they were coddling a rapist who had impregnated his 13-year-old daughter from Haiti. And the order was given, don't arrest him, just move him off to another shelter, and this time in Worcester County. And eventually, only because this went public, they were shamed into having to arrest this guy. And Featherston goes on to say, you've got rape happening, rapes are taking place, sexual assaults are taking place in all of these migrant shelters. Domestic violence, domestic abuse, drug dealing, partying, drinking. It's bedlam. Crime after crime after crime after crime. And Maura Healey knows about it because he told her. There's been multiple reports that she's received. So has the lieutenant governor and so has the state attorney general. And yet they can. Now, I want you to think about this. It's very similar to the incident of that 14-year-old boy being raped in East Harlem by a transgender migrant who Maura Healey released after he was arrested for committing a sex crime here in Medford, Massachusetts last year. She's knowingly aiding and abetting criminal activities and criminal behavior, or she's deliberately turning a blind eye. Now, just so that you know, again, I'm not trying to get your blood pressure up, but you need to know what's happening with your money. Your property taxes, your state income taxes, your sales tax, all your taxes, that's paying for all this. $3.5 billion. That's with a B. That's how much we've spent. I'm not talking about the food and the $2,000 Visa gift cards or the iPads or the free health care or the free college tuition, or I'm not talking that. Just putting them up in these Holiday Inns and other 4 or 5-star hotels across the entire state, $3.5 billion under Healey. To which I have to ask the obvious question. What are we getting for that $3.5 billion? What are you getting? What am I getting? What are the taxpayers? What are we getting for this $3.5 billion? Nothing. Except we're subsidizing not just illegal immigration, the invasion of our state, but as Featherston clearly shows, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assaults, rapes, crimes. And you want this in your community? Now, again, I know, Jeff, you repeat yourself. What else can I do? I know, I sound like a broken record. What else can I do? Someone's got to say it. Someone's got to shame these people. Why is the Holiday Inn in Marlborough, and I'm just using the Holiday Inn in Marlborough as an example, why aren't there cameras parked outside the Marlborough Hotel, the Marlborough Holiday Inn? Again, where's the Boston Globe? Where's the Boston Herald? Where's Channel 4? Where's Channel 5? Where's Channel 7? Where's Channel 10? Where's the I-Team? Where's Channel 25? Where's WGBH? I could go on and on. Where are they? This should be the biggest story in the state. And then, on top of all of this, to add insult to injury, after she's now become a national laughingstock, and the clear abuse that's taking place of our money and our generosity, and what a disaster this has been now for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and for other states, okay? But I'm just using Massachusetts as the example now. She says, we're going to change. Change is coming. We're going to start to do background checks on everybody who's on all these migrants, so-called illegals, these migrants, that are staying at these hotels and motels. But now, the House and the Senate on Beacon Hill just coughed up another $425 million of our money to keep paying to bail out the migrant housing crisis until July. More money down a rat hole. Now, you would think if we're going to keep throwing all of this money, could we, I don't know, at least have some reforms? You commit a crime, you're out. I don't know, you rape someone, you're out. You beat your wife or your girlfriend, you're out. You're dealing fentanyl or meth or cocaine, you're out. You're trafficking kids, you're out. No, that's not in the bill. Okay, how about mandatory criminal background checks? That's not in the bill. Okay, daring to go where no one else in the Boston media, or frankly in the Massachusetts media, and in frankly much of the national media is willing to go. 617-266-6868. So, as I was saying before I was cut off by Maestro Mike, who, by the way, takes immense pleasure in cutting me off. He gets his real kicks out of it. As I was saying, just to put an exclamation point, when you're knowingly ignoring crimes that are being committed, violent crimes, heinous crimes across the entire migrant shelter system in Massachusetts. And I'm telling you, it's not just in Mass, it's happening in other states. When they're trafficking drugs, trafficking kids, when there's rapes taking place, when you've got violence, assaults, domestic violence, when you've got all of this taking place, and the police are under orders to not do anything, to not make any arrests, to not kick anybody out, to not detain anybody, you've got a problem in the governor's office. And when you start, and $3.5 billion of our taxes is going just to shelter these people, just to put them up in hotels. And as I said, $425 million they just rammed down our throats. Not a single freaking reform. Nothing. Not even a basic criminal background check. Nothing. Nothing. Not even a, you rape a girl and get her pregnant, your daughter, you're out. You're trafficking meth and cocaine and heroin, you're out. You rape kids, you're out. Nothing. $425 million, they just keep subsidizing with our money until July. Now, how much longer are we, the taxpayers, going to put up with this? You want to know why, Jeff? The roads suck. Well, where do you think the money's going? It's not for the roads. Jeff, the teachers aren't paid enough. Why do you think that is? We don't have enough police or fire department. Why do you think that is? I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. You know, we don't just need Doge at the national level. My God, we need Doge. We need a Massachusetts Doge. Because the swamp in Massachusetts is just as big here as it is in Washington, D.C. Now, this is from Mark on Messenger. In fact, I should have read this earlier. It doesn't matter, though. He hit the nail right on the head. Jeff, for at least 8 years now, we have been told that nobody is above the law. Well, Moonbat Moron Healy, I like that, Moron Healy, that's good, Mark, is running her mouth and doing things like she's above the law. And it's time for someone to shut her up once and for all. And that someone is border czar Tom Homan. Recall, indict, and arrest Moonbat Moray Healy immediately. She needs to be the first one to be made an example of. She broke the damn law, and now it's time to pay the price. I agree. I completely agree. 617-266-6868. The question is, do you agree? Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hi, Dan.
Jeff, you're absolutely right on everything you're saying, but I got to explain to the people, the listeners, why this is happening. Because if we don't get to the why, the problem will just continue. When you're talking about these, and this is what they are, these Democrats, okay, when you look at them, let it be U.S. Senate, U.S. Congress, or in the state, okay, they're voting, okay, they look like they're uniformed and fighting hard because they vote in that same 0 to 20 voting block, okay? And most of them, okay, like over 90% of them, well over 90, okay? In the U.S. Senate, it's like all of them except one, okay? So that being said, when you look at it, okay, they're all to the left of socialist, communist Bernie Sanders. So they're Marxist, socialist, communist Democrats. Okay? Okay, you know, when you look at, so that's the first thing I wanted to say. Okay? Now, these people are, when you look at the Democrats that left, the moderates, okay? You got Van Drew in New Jersey, okay, who left the Democrat Party, went Republican. He's giving you a nice 80 to a 90 voting score, okay? You got Robert Kennedy Democrats that left. You got Vernon Jones in Georgia, and you got Tulsi Gabbard, okay? And the other trick words they use, Jeff, is unaffordable housing, okay, which was caused by inflation, okay? They use another trick word, lack of housing. That was caused by importing illegal criminals. Okay.
Well, there you go. I mean, Dan, look, I mean, you're right. Look, let's just limit it to illegals just for now, Dan. Look, one of the reasons why do you think housing is so expensive in Chicago or in Illinois or in San Francisco, all across California or in New York City or here, let's just take the greater Boston area, okay, in Massachusetts? It's because those states are all been flooded with illegals. I mean, it's just common sense. So not only are illegals draining our entire welfare system, and that's what Doge is really exposing, how many checks are going out to illegals. People have forgotten already. This was one of the first scandals, just 10 days ago. Joe Biden, $22 billion he took from Health and Human Services to give to illegal aliens. They bought them cars. Literally, cars, bought them, not lease them, bought them. They bought them cars. They bought them SUVs. They gave them loans to start up businesses. I mean, $22 billion. So they're draining our welfare system. But government never bought me a car. I don't know about you. I never got a small business startup seed money. It's not even a loan. It was seed money. There's no loan. Here's $50,000. Start your own business. Wow, thanks. So what they're doing is they're draining our social welfare system, which is meant for Americans. And on top of that, stealing American jobs, driving down wages, and then all of this congestion. They got to live somewhere. And of course, we're paying for everywhere. Everything where they live, we pay for. So what do you think that's doing to the cost of housing? Through the roof. Rents through the roof. So you're completely right. They go on about unaffordable housing. Well, who made it unaffordable? You did. Who flooded the country with third world illegals? You did. Who's the one that's giving them subsidized rent, paid, free rent? You did. Who's putting it up in hotels and motels? You are. So yeah, no wonder the cost of rent is going through the roof. No wonder the cost of buying a home is going through the roof. So look, we know we know what Maura Healey wants. And we know what Kathy Hochul wants. It's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want, which is to flood this country with third world illegal immigration in order to replace us. This is the great replacement. To replace us culturally, economically, demographically, politically, to destroy America and to destroy the American nation. That's been the goal of globalism and open, unlimited immigration and open borders now for the last 35, 40 years. And the globalists openly admit it. They don't even hide it anymore. The question now is, remember, they're doing this with our money. Are we going to subsidize and fund our own suicide, our own destruction? I vote no. Like, enough is enough. So it's not just time to secure the border, although important. It's not just time to start mass deportations, although important. It's time now to go after these sanctuary state governors and sanctuary city mayors and call them out for the traitors, the Benedict Arnolds that they are. This is open sedition and treason. And they're doing it on our backs. And anybody who aids and abets them, and I don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, I don't care. A globalist is a globalist is a globalist. I don't care if they have an R beside their name or a D beside their name. You know what? If a bullet shoots me from the left or it kills me from the right, I'm still dead. You know, if the bullet has a D engraved on it or an R engraved on it, I don't care. It's still a bullet. So, look, I think Holman's got the right idea. I think what we need now to see is follow through. What I'm concerned about now is on a local level, we've got to start shaming Maura Healey. And we've got to start shaming these hotels, like the Holiday Inn in Marlborough. Okay, you can text the Kuhner Man, 70470, 70470. This is from 603. Jeff, your critics would be quick to claim that you're just saying all of this because Healey is a Democrat. You're just a partisan, Kuhner Man. But I would be quick to cite that if this governor was a Republican and had caused and allowed all of this, you'd be raising the very same amount of hell over it. The Kuhner Man is an equal opportunist when it comes to government corruption, and that's a fact. Well, thank you, 603. And just ask Charlie Baker. He had a big fat R next to his name. And, ask him how I treated him. So you're right. When it comes to government fraud, government corruption, government abuse of power, I am an equal opportunist. 617-266-6868. Okay. This is a really, really, really good text. Jeff, look at Diana DiZoglio. She is the Massachusetts state auditor. Even though the voters voted for the state legislature to be audited, she is being blocked at every attempt and at every turn. Our own Doge is being blocked. Well, that tells you everything you need to know. Look, Diane DiZoglio, I think, is doing the Lord's work. She's desperately trying to get an audit done. And look how they're blocking her up on Beacon Hill. And that's with the voters having ratified a referendum, a ballot question, saying, yeah, we want an audit. We want to know, how is our money being spent? And these corrupt Democrats up on Beacon Hill, or Bacon Hill as I like to call them, won't allow Diane DiZoglio to do her job and do a forensic audit. And I'll tell you why. Because they're trying to protect all the bribery and the corruption and the money that's being stolen. By the way, this is from Mark Lombardo, a state rep. To all my constituents in Billerica and to those everywhere in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I hear you. My gas bill has jumped too, and this is why. Maura Healey and Beacon Hill Dems voted for a ridiculous green energy portfolio and have stopped 2 pipelines from coming to Massachusetts, and that's why we can't lower energy prices. Well, yeah. So not only are they flooding the state with migrants and illegals, but they're driving the cost of energy through the roof. So, look, if no one else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. We need our own Trump. Massachusetts needs a Donald Trump to clean up the swamp here in Mass. Agree, disagree. Let's go to Annie on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I'll tell you, my blood is boiling, and I feel like I don't know the right way to describe it other than say that I feel like I'm in Massachusetts as a concentration camp, and I have to keep my butt working well after retirement. It doesn't matter, and pay the high bills. And I'm looking at the crime that has taken place in this state. I don't understand the people in this state. I talked to my husband this morning, and I said to him, you need to sit down. Everybody needs to sit down and feel the pain that this young individual felt. And then think of you as a parent. How would you feel, and what would you do? And there's no justice, Jeff. Where is this coming from? You got the newspaper, you got Maura Healey, they're all above the law. All of them. The news, as far as I'm concerned, is like Tokyo Rose. It's all propaganda. It's a bunch of lies. The American people are not being told the truth. Well, Donald Trump listens to your show. And I'm going to say this to President Trump. I voted for you, President Trump. I want Massachusetts cleaned up. Take Massachusetts, use it as an example, arrest Maura Healey, arrest the rest of them. I want all of the illegals. I don't want just the criminals, Jeff. I want them all gone.
Oh, amen. Annie, from your lips to God's ears. No, look, Annie, you mentioned the media and Tokyo Rose and the silence of the media and the lies, the propaganda from the media. Let me put my cards on the table, okay, as the Germans would say. Let me be brutally honest with you and this whole audience, like I'm in the confessional. The media in Massachusetts, and I mean the entire media, has been determined to destroy me now for 10 years. That's the Boston Herald. That's the Boston Globe. Just what they've been trying to do behind the scenes. Maura Healey is trying to silence me. So what does that tell you? That the Republican establishment and the rhino media, whatever little there's left of it, that, you know, the Herald, that rhino rag, and the Boston Globe and the Democrats have formed an unholy alliance to do everything in their power to destroy me professionally, personally, to smear me, and to get me fired and get me taken off the air. What are they so afraid of? I'm just a man behind a microphone. I just call it the way I see it. I'm just speaking truth to power. And I'll tell you what they're afraid of. Because this state is corrupt to the core. And everybody's making money out of it. Everybody. And so nobody really wants to change the system. Nobody wants to really clean out the corruption. And what they're petrified of is that the peasants, i.e. you and me, with our little proverbial pitchforks, they're afraid of a tax revolt. And they're afraid that the peasants eventually are going to say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And then their gravy train is going to end. And that's why I'm not 100, I'm 1,000% supporter of Doge. Because I am telling you that there is money flowing into the pockets of the media in this state, the way we found that has been flowing by the billions of dollars into the Associated Press, into the New York Times, into Reuters, CBS News, NBC News, ABC News, all of them. They're dirty. And I'm telling you, the same thing is happening in this state. And by the way, that's why they won't open up the books. Look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, okay? I don't know. Really, honestly, I don't know Diana DiZoglio. I don't know her. I've never met her. I'm sure she's a very nice person. Okay? The woman is the state auditor. It seems to me from everything I've read, she just wants to do a forensic audit. That's it. And they're painting her now as kind of like the Elon Musk of Massachusetts, like she's some kind of a monster. Public enemy number one. Why? Because you don't want to open up the books? You don't want to open up the books because you don't want us to see where all the money's going. And how stinking corrupt the politicians in this state are. And how stinking corrupt the media is. And how everybody's taking their cut. And I mean everybody. I mean everybody. And it's a vicious cesspool. And so, by the grace of God, again, I'm just being honest with you. If I didn't have the ratings that I have, if I didn't have the popular support that I have, I'd be gone. Claim to be quote unquote conservative. And how the Boston Herald has been running this vicious campaign, this defamation campaign against me for how many years? And the Boston Globe together. That tells you everything you need to know. And all I say is this. Open up the books. Open up the books. What are you so afraid of? Audit the spending on Beacon Hill and audit the spending that's going to the media. Why won't any of you do your jobs? And let me go even one step further. Why are you all covering up child sex abuse? Again, look, please, I'm not acting like I'm Mother Teresa. I'm not. I go to the confessional like everybody else. I'm not perfect. But I'll tell you this, okay? I'm not a freaking pedophile. I'm not a whore. I'm not Caligula. I'm not Mother Teresa, but I'm not Caligula. That I tell you, you know, with God as my witness. What to me has been shocking now in the last 13 years of my career in this state is how the entire media, here, let me just give you a blatant example. We've got Dr. Grace on. I'm going to put her on right after this. I talked about the Haitian migrant who repeatedly raped and then impregnated his 13-year-old daughter. And how at the Marlborough Holiday Inn that we paid for, okay? And how the police tried to desperately cover it up for 8 months and literally shipped him off to another hotel in Worcester County. And that Maura Healey knew about it and tried to suppress it and sweep it under the rug. And only when this story went absolutely public, national media, not local media, national media, did they finally press charges. That young girl, that 13-year-old girl, gave birth to her baby. That rape resulted in her getting impregnated. She had the baby. How come the legacy media in this entire state hasn't mentioned this at all? This should be a mother scandal. This should be front page every newspaper. This should be leading every TV station, the news broadcast. Nothing. They won't touch this story with a 10-foot pole. They won't ask Healy on camera about it. Why? Ask yourself, why? Why are they so in the tank for this governor? Why are they so in the tank to protect this rapist? Why are they in the tank to protect obvious pedophilia and child sex abuse? Why? Why? I'm not dirty. I don't diddle kids. I see child rape, I'm outraged. I'm disgusted. They see child rape and their instinct is cover it up. Bury it, bury it, bury it. Pretend it didn't happen. Why? Now, I've only got two conclusions. Either number one, many of them are pedophiles themselves or sexual predators themselves. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know what other conclusion I can reach. Or B, they're being bought and paid off. Now, the bought and paid off, I know. I know how dirty the media is. The entire media is in this state. It's dirty. It's really dirty. But I'm starting to think more and more. There are pedophiles. And it's not just the Epstein list. I'm sorry. I can't conclude anything else. Am I wrong? Joining me now, as she always does at this time, Dr. Grace, putting liberals in their place. Grace Vuoto, my better half, my wonderful wife. Grace, I've been talking about it all morning. I've got to ask you, a 14-year-old boy savagely raped in the bathroom of a bodega in New York City by a transgender migrant, a biological male, a sexual predator who was arrested in Massachusetts last summer and then, for inexplicable reasons, released. There was an ICE detainer, Maura Healey, the Moonbat governor, who, sanctuary state, wants to invite all the illegals in, deliberately told the police to ignore the ICE detainer. Hence, Nicole Suarez, this transgender migrant, was released and then went on to rape a 14-year-old boy. Tom Homan says Maura Healey should go to prison. What say you?
Jeff, I completely agree. There needs to be accountability for actions like this. The only reason that we as citizens relinquish our rights to a government, say, temporarily, we give them our tax money and we say we relinquish a certain amount of our liberties, it's in exchange for protection. That's the social contract. It's in exchange for them doing their job. And if they're not doing their job, we should have a means of getting them out of there immediately. And what we've seen in this state is you have vested interests that simply protect one another, and these leaders are not doing the will of the people. That is what is so extraordinary about Trump's leadership, is that what he has shown us nationally, we now know is going on at a state level.
Grace, you've been with me through thick and thin, in the trenches, as we say, okay? In every battle, every war. that ever since we've come to this state. I'm going to ask you, why do you think the media in this state and the Boston Herald, the Boston Globe, I'm calling them all out, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 10, Channel 25, WGBH, PBS, all of them, okay? All of them. Why do they refuse to call out the obvious problem that we have with pedophilia and the sex abuse of children? It's in the Catholic Church. It's in the Department of Children and Families. You can see it again and again. It goes all the way up now to the governor's office with this rape of this 14-year-old boy. And she just let this sexual predator go out on the streets so he can reoffend. What is it about this state, and in particular about this media, that they are so determined to protect the most disgusting, vile crimes against children? What is going on in this state?
Well, Jeff, you know what? It used to be that liberals were telling us that they're extremely compassionate, that they're the ones that care about the little people, that they're the ones that say want to help, immigrants find their path here, or they care about victims of any kind. They're the ones that want the big government programs for everybody. We used to, hear them talk always about compassion and empathy. They're the compassionate ones, and we're not the compassionate ones. And, for a while, it could paralyze people in debate. But I think now that era is already gone. It doesn't work anymore. We saw in the last election, there was so much outrage about the victims of crime that now this argument, it doesn't wash anymore. So I don't believe that they're more compassionate, and we certainly don't believe that they value freedom because they're the ones on the side of censorship. So now we have to ask the question, what do they really stand for? And this is what's extraordinary about the work of Elon Musk, is finally we see there is some kind of a straightforward cash nexus. I mean, you think about what's going on in this state. Are the reporters doing their basic job? What is the vocation of a journalist? Well, you got to expose injustice. Does our media here in this state expose injustice? That's the basic vocation of a journalist. Be outraged at injustice. And what else? Hold accountable vested interests. Does the Herald do that? Does the Globe do that? No, they don't. So they don't do their basic job as journalists. And the question is, why? And I am so impressed with what Musk and Trump have done. We need to do that with every single institution in this state. Follow the money trail, and I think we finally get all our answers, because nothing that they say makes sense. This is not a defense of the little person. This is not about compassion. They are not the ones who defend freedom. So what do they ultimately stand for? We can't figure it out anymore. Their ideology doesn't hold anymore. So there's got to be vested interest and a cash nexus. I want to see that fully exposed. And Jeff, one of the points that has to be made is if I think about the standing of the media in this state, from the moment we came in 2012 and 2013, our first entry into this state, if you think about where the prestige of the media was then to where it is now, it has collapsed. It has collapsed. Its readership has collapsed, and mostly its influence has collapsed. And the main reason is nobody believes in their virtue, and they don't believe they're actually doing their job anymore.
30 seconds. We don't have much time left, Grace. Ever since I've come to this state, as you know, the media has put a massive target on my back. Whether it doesn't matter, the establishment Republican media or the Democrat media.
When it comes to financial.
And Mike just cut her off. Why would you cut her off, Mike? Was this something from management or? All right. So we just literally, she was going on about how I'm not bought and paid for, and suddenly, boom. Mike is saying that it wasn't him. Grace is texting me now saying, what the hell happened? Why was I just cut off? So we're going to try to get to the bottom of this. I guarantee you phone lines are ringing off the hook upstairs because I've called out the media. And I've called out the media for being bought and paid for. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go to John in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff, for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
All right. First thing we got to do, Jeff, is defund the Democratic Party. Now, as far as the sex, all the sex that's going on, we had a president that took showers with his 12-year-old daughter. Garland, who was running the DOJ, his daughter and husband had perverted books that they were filling the schools with. Our tax dollars, which come out on that Doge, went to Guatemala and all these foreign countries, millions and millions of dollars for sex change and other perverted things that our government, our communist government wants, including our governor. Now, you said it, Jeff, a while back. It seems like you say a lot of things that I think of, but this is a destruction of America. And that's what they're trying to do, Jeff. They want to destroy our country and be rid of all of us patriots. Now, President Trump and his team should release the Epstein and Diddy tapes to show the perversion that's going on in our country with our judges and everybody else that's involved with it. And maybe that'll open some eyes, Jeff. And you're going to find out, Jeff, because it's happening in Dunstable, that we already voted out. I remember we talked about it a couple of years ago, the raising the taxes. Now they're trying to sneak another one in to raise our taxes again. The communists that run the city hall.
They have to. I mean, John, just look, there's too many illegals now in the state mooching off the system. I mean, it's just too many of them now. Look, it's $214 a day per illegal at a hotel, and you include the 3 meals. $214 a day per migrant. That's room and board and the 3 catered meals. I'm not talking about anything else. So just do the math. You can't continue like this. So they have to raise taxes. Maura Healey's trying to sneak an excise tax increase. They're going to have to raise taxes. They're going to raise property taxes. They're going to raise income taxes. They're going to have to raise taxes. And by the way, and it still won't be enough. So you're completely right, John. And look, this is what I think now has changed, okay? And you may disagree with me, John. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. For many, many years, I really thought the debate was ideological. I thought, for whatever reason, they really believe in DCF and they really believe in the mission of government and taking care of children in the foster care system. I'm just going to use that as an example, or, whatever, illegal immigration. They really feel sorry for the migrants or whatever. No, what's becoming very clear is it's just a veneer. It's just a fig leaf, a justification. It's the money. It's all about the money. When you see, as you put it, how much USAID is funding sex change operations, transgenderism, pornography, the radical LGBTQ plus agenda in traditional country after traditional country after traditional country, all over Latin America, all over Africa, all over Asia, all over the Middle East, all over Eastern Europe. You realize it's the money. It really is. It's the money. And then when I find out how much the New York Times, how much they were paying the Washington Post, how much they're paying the Associated Press, Reuters, straight from the coffers of the CIA? That's what the USAID is. It's a front organization for the CIA. And then you see in this state, which is a much lower level, but that's just, by the way, and it's happening in other blue states. Now you know why, even though there was a ballot, the people of Massachusetts voted, we want a forensic audit of the budget. Where is all of our freaking taxpayer money going? Transparency, openness, accountability. It's our money. We work for it. Who's getting it? Where's it going? Diana DeZoglio. If I'm mispronouncing her last name, I apologize. She's the state auditor. She's no flaming conservative, believe me, okay? This is no, right-wing Trump supporter. She just wants to do her job. The people wanted an audit. They won the ballot question. I want to do the audit. I want to do the people's will. Blocked, obstructed, stopped at every single turn. Now, that tells you everything you need to know. They're covering up their financial crimes. And I'm telling you that the money is going to all kinds of places and all kinds of people that we're going to see. What's happening with Doge is happening here in Massachusetts. That's why they're doing this. That's why they're covering it up. They're desperate to cover it up. Now, how is this not a massive scandal? And instead, where's the media? Nowhere. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me throw this log on the fire. What the hell? Do you trust the media? And in particular, the media in this state. Do you trust them? I don't. I'm just curious. I'd love to hear from you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Alan in Medford. Thanks for holding, Alan, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Wanted to bring to you some facts, and although I agree that maybe there's some accountability at the state level, I think there's also some that's needed on a local level. And as much as people might want to hear Mark from Medford and everyone call in, people need to speak out and work on a local level. So the policy, there was an existing policy that happened or was in existence when that particular migrant was released. It was just codified as a city ordinance in January 14th, I believe, of this year. That ordinance was drafted not only by 6 of the 7 city councilors who are part of they're all, admitted Democratic Socialists, part of an organization that's local, but also with the ACLU and another local organization. And this all can be watched on, city council recordings in the city. You just have to wait late at night because one of the strategies is wait until it's late at night so they don't get as much opposition. A resident had asked if it was a sanctuary city ordinance, and the council wouldn't admit it, but later on in the Tufts Daily paper, they go off and say, oh, yeah, it's a sanctuary city ordinance. And, untold amounts of money spent between, the local lawyers for the city because they don't even have their own city solicitor. So they're contracting that out, and the ACLU to go and write these ordinances, and yet they won't even admit when someone asks, why are you doing this? Why are you potentially violating federal law? They said, no, we're not. And even if we are, nothing will happen from the administration because the courts will block it. So they kind of think they have some impunity already when at least, a few residents have said, maybe there's a negative to this and why are you doing this? So as much as I agree, maybe you should take a look at a state level. I think people need to take a look at a local level, and they can call into Jeff Kuhner all they want. But if they're not getting up and speaking out against it, it's just going to keep happening.
Oh, I agree. No, Alan, I agree. I think you're spot on. Absolutely spot on. And look, here's, again, we still have an incomplete picture, which is why I want that audit done on Beacon Hill, because let's follow the money at the state and local level. But here's what we do know. We know that the ACLU is now taking up boatloads of money to help resettle these illegals and defend these illegals. So they're on the take. They're making a ton of cash off of this. We know the Catholic Church, just Catholic Charities alone, $100 million. The Catholic Church overall, $2.9 billion would it be. The Lutheran, there's a big Lutheran contingent, denomination, billions of dollars now apparently flowing into their coffers. So this is affecting, major religions. They're taking billions of dollars. That's why they're all for open borders and globalism and embracing these migrants, because they're all getting rich off of it. Now, what I want to know is this. Why are these local city councilors, and let's take Medford, because I think Medford's a perfect example. That's where this transgender so-called migrant, this Nicole Suarez, this biological man claiming to be a woman, was arrested last summer. It was in Medford and was released in Medford. And there was an ICE detainer. Remember, sex crimes. And they still released this person. And Maura Healey said, let this person go. And that's when this person went on to rape a 14-year-old boy at a bathroom in a bodega in New York City just a few days ago. I want to know, they're so determined to be a sanctuary city in Medford. They're so determined to flout the law and thumb their nose. Are they getting paid? Are the city councilors getting paid? I know the ACLU is. I know the lawyers are. I want to know if they're buying people on city councils. Follow the money. And Alan, I will bet you, and please don't take me up on this bet because I don't want to see you lose money. I will bet you the best steak at the best steakhouse that money is pouring into the pockets of these corrupt city councilors. And I think that explains a lot of their so-called quote-unquote compassion. That's why they're pushing for sanctuary cities. Because in the end, see, I thought it was all ideological. Now I'm waking up and I'm realizing maybe part of it is. But there's greed, there's graft, there's money, there's corruption. They're taking money in order to become sanctuary cities. Am I wrong, Alan?
I don't know if you're right or wrong. I've got nothing to prove that shows otherwise. I will say that there's probably some fear. Say the police chief wants to keep his job, and especially in the city of Medford, there's already been a lot of public issues going on between the Medford and the fire department. That was on WBZ News. Between the mayor and the DPW, there's a lawsuit pending, I believe, now because she put them all up for drug tests one day in public. So it's going around. Want to ask of you, Jeff, can you publish on your site, your WRK?
Hello, Alan? What? Mike, this is very bizarre. Why is this every time there's something very important that needs to be said, suddenly a caller goes dead? Is that Alan?
Can you hear me, Jeff?
Okay. Please, go ahead, Alan.
So I was going to say, I think you need to look into the mayor also. And
sorry, I missed that. You said something about the WRKO.com website, if I can publish something.
Yes, publish your info, your article on what you have for the bodega and that incident. I didn't see anything local on this story. Can you publish some sources so people can go read it for themselves?
Yes, definitely. Yes, Alan, definitely. No, we have to do it. We have to start exposing these people. And, Alan, let me just end with this, okay? Look, this is going to come out the wrong way. My heart is breaking for that poor 14-year-old boy. So please, I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm about to say. But that animal was released in Medford and then eventually went to New York City to rape and, viciously assault that young boy. The people of Medford are very, very lucky he didn't do it to a 14-year-old boy in Medford. They dodged the proverbial bullet. And I think somebody needs to ask the mayor and the city council, how dare you let that animal out on the streets? And how dare you not honor the ICE detainer? Not just because of what ended up happening to that 14-year-old boy, but that could have been one of our kids. Why are they playing Russian roulette with the lives of our 14-year-olds? The city council needs to answer for this, and the mayor needs to answer for this. Alan, thank you very much for that call. Brenda in Beverly, thanks for holding, Brenda, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I'm a little bit under the weather and injured, so my delivery might not be as quick as I normally do it, but I have a couple of points. One, actually, I can't take credit for this. This is coming from a great Kuhner Country caller who just called in about an hour ago, John from Lowell. He's like, try to call in. So I got in, praise God. And he had mentioned, and this is a great point, that the hotel owner down in Marlboro should be sued and arrested. And I fully agree with that, because he's harboring fugitives, Jeff. I mean, this is nuts, and that would be a deterrent. I mean, like, let's bleep and get off the pot, as they say. And the other thing is, when I was on hold, I was thinking about Holman, and I was, as much as we all wound up to try to get, Mara Healy, lock her up and stuff like that, I think he needs to have a chat with Pam Bondi. She would be able to give him he needs a definitive charge that would stick. All right. We can get all, let's, because it's at a level now that is so obscene, and it's just so revolting. I think it was Maria from Ludlow or another caller, was a gal. I was like in tears when you were sharing that story this morning, because it was just like trying to put yourself in that poor kid's position, as well as the parents. I mean, they have got a handful now, and it was all preventable. It's completely preventable, and they're doing, jack bleep. Okay, they're just turning a blind eye. I think I said this last week to you. They manufacture the chaos, and then they just go about their day like nothing's happening. What's all the big brouhaha about? What are you getting all wound up about? Honey, Mara, if you had children and if that was your 14-year-old boy, you'd be out of your bleeping mind. You would be so crazed. I mean, you have to rein yourself in. You'd have to rein yourself in. I can hear my dad, God rest your soul, Dad. I could hear him when we would talk about awful murders. He goes, Brenda, I can understand. He goes, as a father, you're sitting in the courtroom, and there's the person that's done something to your child, whether he's murdered him, raped him, or whatever. You have everything you do. You got to belt me in. You got to belt me in, because I'm going to do something that I'm going to regret.
I agree. No, Brenda, you're completely right. On every single score, you are completely right. Okay, K-Train in Malden. Thanks for holding, K-Train, and welcome.
Hello, how's my brother from another mother?
I'm good. How are you, K-Train?
Well, I've been upset, and I've just been very perplexed on a couple logs I want to throw on your fire. Okay, we at the beginning of last week, they talked about the Treasury and the gold bars. All of a sudden, that went off the news. And I've always thought, remember when Obama sent a plane full of gold bars to Iran 3 days before he left?
Yep.
Could it be, and this is my question that keeps me up, if they have discovered that a portion of those gold bars are gone, would it tank the country? And could it be the true motivation behind Iran's shooter? And Obama is very quiet and bought an island after that. What do you think?
Oh, I think there's no question that the Iranians bought Barack Obama. I think there's absolutely no doubt about it. And Obama paid him back. He paid him back with the nuclear bomb, essentially. And he paid him back with pallets of cash. So I think there's no question. We had a Manchurian candidate. That's what Obama was. He's at best a cultural Muslim, at best, if not an actual militant Muslim. I reported on this when I was at the Washington Times many times. It's an open secret. He even brags about it in his own autobiography. There's no conspiracy here. He went to a madrasa for years of his life. His stepfather was a devout Muslim in Indonesia. He was raised as a devout Muslim. Obama's always admitted this. He can say Muslim prayers, by the way, in perfect Arabic. And he attended madrasas, multiple madrasas. So, and, you know, he was interviewed by Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times. You can look it up. It's a very famous interview where Nicholas Kristof asked him, what is the most beautiful sound you've ever heard? And Kristof was shocked. Obama said, the call of the azan, which is the evening Muslim call to the biggest of the prayer. You have to pray 6 times a day, but the one in the evening is the biggest, the most powerful call to prayer. And he said that the majesty, he said, of it, the power, the beauty of it, that he's never heard anything so beautiful in his life. Now, I'm telling you, I'm being honest. To me, the American national anthem, I've already said this story before, when we adopted Ashton and then adopted Ava. And I'll never forget this. When we adopted Ava, it was in Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. And we finally got her home from the hospital. She was born a little bit underweight. And we were exhausted. And Ashton was on the bed sleeping. Ava finally fell asleep on the bed. And Grace fell asleep. And there I was on the bed with my 2 beautiful children and my wife. And they were sleeping like they were sleeping so deep and so restfully. And I remember I thanked the Lord. And I said, thank you, God, for my beautiful family. And I'm telling you, hearing them breathe was the most beautiful sound I ever heard. I would never, if I'm a non-Muslim, as he apparently claimed, I would never say the call of the azan. I've heard the Muslim call to prayer many times. I don't think it's beautiful. I don't think it's majestic. I don't think it's powerful. I certainly don't think it's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard in my life. So what I'm trying to tell you is I don't know how much more he could have tipped his hand. And no, I think it's obvious. Barack Obama was bought and paid for. And that's what everybody around him who knew him going up said, don't trust him. And just objectively, Islam never made a bigger expansion of power than they did under Barack Obama. There's no question about that. So I believe Iran essentially bought him. I think the Muslim world essentially bought him. And I think China bought Joe Biden. And I think now what we're starting to realize with Doge is that many influential, powerful people are bought and paid for. Whether it be politicians, whether it be non-governmental organizations, whether it be the media, whether it be the churches, religious institutions, the rot, foreign governments, the rot is very deep, very deep. And the scale of the corruption is beyond our wildest imagination. And that's why, to me, I look at Trump and Elon Musk, and I'm telling you, they're not just patriots, they're heroes. And they're risking their lives, and make no mistake, they are risking their lives to expose the greatest scandal and maybe the greatest corruption in our nation's history, maybe in the history of the world. We are talking now about trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Almost unimaginable, obscene amounts of money. And what's starting to realize as well is it's seeping down to the states. I mean, I've been using Massachusetts today as a kind of a microcosm, but you want to explain, why Eric Adams opened up New York City. Why? To illegals. Follow the money. Kathy Hochul opened up the entire state of New York. Follow the money. New York City, one of the greatest cities in the world. It's up there with London. It's up there with Tokyo. They destroyed New York City.